summary.
That's right. I'm here with Carrie and Martin. We're gonna do a little dim summary. Carrie came prepared. We just found out. Carrie, what'd you bring to the table?
I've got dim sums for dim summary.
Oh,
That is awesome.
oh, yeah, that's well done, Carrie.
Well
Very
done. Extra
good.
rewards
Yeah.
in heaven for you.
Yes, yes.
Yay!
It just makes a mess of the screen when I try.
That's awesome. Well, hey
Yeah,
guys, it was a great service today.
it
Thank you
was.
all for joining online and in the chat right now. We're following along. So if you have any questions or thoughts from today's service, make sure to chime in and we'll be following and answer those. And we also, in the description box below, there's 2 reflection questions we always have that Pastor Rick wrote to go along with this message. It will help you kind of process and think through. And maybe in a moment, we'll dive into those too and just start kind of
Right.
processing those together. But Pastor Rick, thank you for sharing today so vulnerably with us. And
Yeah,
what a great
yeah,
message to be at home and sharing when you talk about family. It puts it in
yeah.
context. So as I'm listening, I locked the door right now, but there's some crazy kids back there. And as you're thinking about faith and patience and love, they're jumping and running. And it's just a great context to think about
Yeah.
family, either that you came from or that you want to have in the future. So, but hey guys, before diving in too much, Carrie and Martin, I want to give you guys just a chance to kind of share anything that stood out to you to celebrate today or kind of struck you and made you think. As we all just experience
Yeah,
this together.
I think Pastor Eric did mention about all families or most families that there would be some sort of maybe mistakes that have been made because obviously all parents were inexperienced for the first time, and
Mm,
there might be hurts or injuries or wounds that a child suffered. And I was just thinking how one could actually learn from that setting, the family of origin, and when that child grows up and builds his or her new family, then how to avoid certain mistakes. I mean, we all have this intention. I won't do that because my father did that to me, so I won't do that to my child. I guess every dad or every mom had that intention. But a lot of times this still happens. And I just got married. I haven't had any kids for now. But this transition, this generational thing makes me wonder how is it done in practice? How can parents actually ensure that, certain mistakes that they experience as a child in the past will actually be passed on? So
Mm.
yeah, I'm gonna need advices from you guys.
And that's all the time we have for today.
yeah. Well, speaking, I'll come to you, Eric, because you're a parent at the moment. I was a parent, and I am a grandparent. My 2 children are in their 40s, and one lives here, another one lives in Japan, and I've 3 grandsons here. My daughter's mother of the 3, when George was born, she was, so concerned and every move and this, that, and the other. And then the second one, Harry, was born, and she, a bit concerned and this, that, and the other, and trying to make sure the boys get on. Then Louis was born. It's, oh well, he'll be all right. He'll live. He'll be fine. What are you eating? Okay, it doesn't matter. There was a lot more relaxation, and it brought me back to when my firstborn, my daughter Claire, was born. And it doesn't matter how much you inherit from your parents of wisdom, it's the anxiety that this little baby, you're going to go home, and whatever training you may think you haven't. It's out the window, and you're, what do we do now? This is baby. This is for life, and that creates an anxiety sometimes which you don't need, but you have. But it's just letting that dispel. Anyway, that's my thought.
Yeah, that's
Right.
good, Martin. That's right in line with some conversations I've been having lately about parenting, but about self-parenting and
Yeah.
life and work, and just trying to be good to yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I think this season has helped this come out where I would usually not be the person with that poster on my wall, but we've all just been pushed so hard
Yeah.
that we just need to lay down some of these hurdles that we've self-created and drop that anxiety and learn to slow down, to listen, to look for the long time horizon as opposed to something perfect being right now. And so, Carrie, you're totally right. Like, there's no perfection.
No.
That's a good step one, because what do we
It's a
say?
good step.
Denial. You have to get past denial and acceptance. But I would say, and this is family when you talk about being a parent. This is when you talk about marriage or any relationship, like modeling is so important. And the
Mm.
reason, if you put emphasis on modeling what you practice, there's no facade of perfection. You're not perfect. You have to, when you say, I'm going to model, you come with the humility because you're doing this in a subpar way, especially
Yeah.
when you compare to
Yeah.
Jesus. But ultimately, like, that's what research says is like kids, we kind of get what we are, is what
Yeah.
research would say. Not just what we espouse, not what books we put there, not what educational thing we put on TV, what class we sign them up for, but often we get what we are.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's
true.
some Christian
Yeah.
research going
Yeah.
even further that would say we get what our kids think we are.
Mm.
So it's not just what we think we are, but it's how they
Yeah.
perceive it. And so that's good marriage advice too.
I think
Yeah, I
It's
so.
think
not just
so.
what you think, but it's also how you're being perceived. And those can be
Yeah.
different. Um,
Yeah. Oh,
It's a
in
really
fact,
cool.
there's a comment from CK
oh,
Wong as well. Being newlywed, we both working hard to bring forth family flaws and redeeming it through this new marriage, hoping to be vessel for the true hope, like Pastor Rick mentioned. Stage 2,
Yeah.
humility is needed.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My
Uh,
favorite part. Oh, go ahead, Martin.
No, no, no. Go. Well, I was going to say, Eric, one of the things about being a parent, and indeed as I was as a teacher, you do mess up, and actually the humility to be able to say sorry, and because I've got quite a long fuse, generally speaking, but I can get mad, and my get mad is pretty explosive.
Mm,
And in most cases, I generally speaking have to apologize for it. And I
Mm.
learned that fairly early on. And it's important to be able to apologize to our kids. And it was important for me as a teacher to be able to apologize to the kids at school. If I got mad and called out a kid and really bombed him or her, to be able to say, hey, that you didn't justify that. Whatever you did, I'm sorry. There might be something wrong, but my anger is a different thing, and that you didn't deserve that. And to be able to discern how did they think you are, and you've got to be able to get out yourself to do that. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
that's so.
What's usually the response when you actually apologize to your kids? Do your kids feel very surprised or do they feel very touched?
Yeah, or your wife, Martin. I mean, just tell her about all your apologizing.
That takes a bit longer. Yes, but you need to ask Kitty for that one. And she's watching this, so I will speak the truth in love. I think generally, obviously, if there's hurt, that needs to be assuaged.
Mm,
But generally speaking, I mean, kids are pretty forgiving too. And the other thing is they will see through falsity. And,
mm,
and it doesn't matter whether it's the children or the teenagers I used to teach or my own children. They see if you're just, oh, I'm sorry. Uh, no, that's not going to work. It, they really do. They've got these hypocrisy, radars. The children, particularly teenagers. And if you're not being genuine, not being authentic, not actually really saying what you think, then they'll tell, and that won't work. That won't wash.
yeah.
Mm.
But generally speaking, the response is. I do remember one from. I really bawled this kid out. He was being quite violent. This was in the UK, and I bawled him out, and I called him into my office, and he thought he was going to get a real telling off. And I said, "Look, I'm really sorry. I did not intend to blow off at that, and I embarrassed you in front of your mates, and I'm very, very sorry." And he was completely taken aback, and he said, "Wow, nobody's ever done that before." I really respect you, Mr. Rapp. Thank you very much. It made a complete difference to our relationship. It was quite amazing because he was a bit of a roughneck. And okay, anyway, so there you go, an example.
That's really good. That's really good. And Martin, the beauty of that, like when we talk like marriage counseling and stuff, a lot of the trajectory of your conversation depends how you start and whether it's a harsh start or a
Yeah,
really soft start. And when you start with an apology, that sets the tone for the rest of the conversation, like no
generally.
matter what
Yeah,
age.
Mm.
So
yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah.
really, really good advice. And, I think so. When I think of humility, Carrie, I think of definitely what Martin just said. Sorry, I'm pointing. That's rude, Martin. I think of what you said, and ability to apologize is humility. And I think the
Yeah,
other aspect you can cultivate in your home. I think Nelson was asking for some specific examples. The other thing that cultivates humility is service. And sometimes
Mm.
in our culture here in Hong Kong, we're robbed. Robbed
mm,
is not the right word. We're we're void of as many opportunities because we've made our world modern, or we've hired help that lives in, or whatever, Deliveroo. But just thinking of what are ways that you can build in, and it may be more inconvenient, a way you can serve people in your household. It can be as simple as knowing when they're going to get up and have something ready, or when they get home, of saying thank you, of doing laundry, of taking a dish. It can be anything. Um, Service is such a key thing. And because we're trying to make our world better or more convenient, sometimes we remove it from the process. Because if it's not something we have to do that exerts energy or is messy, that usually seems like a problem we try to fix. But try to build that into your life a little bit and say, how can I serve my kids, my spouse, whoever you're talking about? I think service breeds humility like nothing else, and also builds your empathy muscle. So forgiveness and service, build it in. Everyone can do that. From our 2-year-old, we make serve in some ways. It's little ways, but it's a good muscle to start growing.
Yeah. I think it's even better because now that I think a lot of us are working from home, including myself and my husband, we are basically seeing each other 24/7, literally. And there are loads of opportunities to really to serve one another. And I think it's not just about the service, but it's also about the heart of really appreciating what others doing for myself, and not to take anything for granted. Say, I really appreciate whenever he asks, oh, how can I help with you? Every time I would say, that's fine, I will do it by myself. But I appreciate that he asked, and I think that's all that matters.
He is so good. I mean, it's the first year of marriage, but way to go, Anthony.
Yeah, very good. Well done. Mind you, it's a tough beginning to any marriage. There you are, because most people get married, not necessarily spend 24/7 with one another. That's what they hope for before they're married. But when the reality sets in, you think, I need some space. But anyway, well done on that one, Carrie. Actually, there was a question came up. Actually, somebody said on the chat that it's hard maybe for those culturally in this part of the world. Chinese parents is mentioned, but I don't think it's just Chinese parents. I think culturally in the East that actually saying sorry. And I understand that in a way, because there is this element that it might seem a sign of weakness and an admission of wrong, and that people see that as a threat to their authority. That somehow or other that a parent or a teacher who says sorry is going to be diminished in authority. I can only speak from personal experience. I never found that. My power over controlling tendencies were diminished, but my authority wasn't. My ability to be a good teacher or a good parent wasn't. And so I would encourage people, whatever background you come from, whatever your own experience is, that actually your authority as a parent is not based upon whether you say sorry or not, but how you impact as a parent, how you impact, how you generally love. Kids go on what you were saying on what they see, how you behave, how you react to your husband and wife, and funnily enough, actually, how you talk about your own parents. Honor your father and mother in front of your children. Because that is how they will speak of you to their children. It passes on. So honoring you, I've not always been that good on that sometimes.
You talked about authenticity matters, and it can be sniffed out anywhere, in the workplace and at home. I think that's so good, Martin. And that's where spiritual parenting, spiritually speaking from a husband or wife standpoint, is different. In that authenticity is more important. A soft heart is more important. And sometimes saving face goes against that. And we all have that, where we harden up and we don't want to be seen as lesser than we want to be seen. But we're already seen that way. And so it's better we're seen as being authentic. And we garner a new kind of authority when we can lead from a vulnerable state, an honest state, through faith, than we ever could just by trying to modify behavior or trying to manipulate. We're going to have way more authority that lasts for the long haul. So I think when you just try to be strict, you may have them till they're 18. I think your goal of parenting is the relationship for a long time, and
Yeah.
that requires a different kind of authority than
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the power you may have when they're little. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
love the relationship I have with my son and my daughter. As I said,
Mm,
they're in their 40s, and we get on fine,
that's great.
despite my idiosyncrasies.
That's great. That's great. And so I usually am the host guy, so that is a good reminder that the Art of Marriage starts today at 1:30. Pastor
Yeah,
Tim sent me a
well
message
done.
to
Go for
remind
it,
me to get
Tim.
that.
Go for it. Art
So
of
it's
marriage,
not too
man.
late.
Yeah, yeah. Get sign in, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well, hey guys, we could have this conversation for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And thankfully, that's why our family ministry with marriage and parenting, it talks about all these things with being intentional. And so be on the lookout for those classes like the one starting today, because these are long conversations that you need to
yeah.
have,
They are.
and then try and fail and then have again and be with people to be like, it's okay, try again. It's a
Absolutely.
Carrie,
Yeah.
you mentioned it. Our family of origins have a big say in us, in the way we respond and react. And it takes a
Mm.
long time to kind of reshape and reform the way
Yes.
we've been brought and to start a new culture, a new family culture. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to be in it for the long game. Be good to yourself. Forgive
Yeah.
yourself. Pray. Ask for
Exactly.
the Holy Spirit to empower you to make you new.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a journey, but we have an
Yeah. Good
awesome
job.
God who's helping us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, I will close us out there for today. Thank you all for joining us. It's been
Thank
such
you.
a blessing to be do church online, church at home, and we're gonna do it for a couple of weeks as our city gets healthier and better. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Carrie and Martin, for joining us.
Thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Eric.
inviting
Thanks,
me. Great.
Martin.
Love you guys. Thank you,
Bye.
Carrie. Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.